I'm Peter Lio.
And I'm Julie Block.
And we're really excited to co-present this next session where we're going to be talking a lot more about interacting directly with patients. The question really is, how do we collaborate with a patient association? And this is so important because patient associations are an integral part of the education and the support. And importantly, I think making that connection and fostering the connection between providers and patients. And I'm really excited to have the CEO of the National Eczema Association here with me today to do this. So I was going to talk just a little bit about some of the ideas that are important to me in thinking about atopic dermatitis, and then we're going to kind of go back and forth. And I know we only have a relatively short period of time, but this is a quote from L. Duncan Bulkley. This is from the 1800s, so quite some time ago, and I think it's powerful. Quote, "Eczema has been rightly called the keystone of dermatology, and he who fully masters its management is not only skilled in regard to treating one of the most common and distressing of all cutaneous diseases, but has acquired a knowledge of the principles of dermatologic practice, which will assist in the treatment of many, if not all, other maladies of the skin." So I really do think that atopic dermatitis is one of the most challenging diseases. It's very difficult to manage, not only for the patient, for their family, but even for the people trying to take care of them, right? It's a difficult and challenging condition. There are three important hurdles that patients must overcome. We have to get their skin clear, we have to keep it clear in a safe manner, and then they have to be able to keep it up. They really need to be able to maintain that, both in terms of their well-being mentally, but also in terms of the economics involved, both money and time. Many people say, I would like to keep this going, but it's too much time and energy, or we can't afford the moisturizers. I really appreciated the portion this morning talking about the patients in Brazil who can barely afford to get food, let alone nice moisturizer. So these are all important characteristics. We understand the amount of suffering, the morbidity of this disease, lots of misery for the patients and their family, so we have to be committed to addressing it in a holistic fashion. We're thinking about time, energy, money, the effect on sleep and well-being and mental health, all of these pieces. For better or for worse, even though it makes it very hard, this is part of the disease, right? It's not just a skin condition, it's so much more than that. And we really have to use all of our resources and marshal everything we have to get these patients better. One of the most powerful things that I found, and I'm so grateful for Julie's leadership in this, is a tool that allows us to help track the patient's disease severity on an individual basis. And this is a tool called Eczema Wise. It has educational components and tracking components in an app. Totally free, secure, and available to anyone. I find myself using this more and more because it can play a role in connecting the families to the NEA, the National Eczema Association, but then when they come back, they can show me what's been happening. It's a way to quantify the skin disease and the amount of medicines they're using, so I can learn more about them in this very compact, simple package. It's really fantastic. We know that the guidance for treating this disease is getting incredibly complex. We now have a number of new agents that seem to be being released every few months. What's good about this is, of course, we want to have a huge number of options so that we can engage in shared decision-making with our patients, so we can really offer different solutions for problems, and particularly for those patients where they're stuck, where they feel they've tried all the things that we've had and they've been waiting patiently for the next big thing. Finally, we have it. But what's exciting as well is that now everybody has 1,000 questions. Pediatricians, primary care, patients, families. We're getting more phone calls than ever. People saying, wait, tell me about this new drug. What are these new biologics? How do we use these JAK inhibitors? Where do they fit? And the truth is, I don't know yet. I'm still learning part of this too. We're still getting used to them. These things have only been in our hands for a few months, but this means it's even more important to have groups that can help support the families with that shared decision-making and learn more about these treatments. Part of the deficiency that we have right now, we lack the ability to compare treatments directly. Very few studies actually do head-to-head. So not only in terms of efficacy, we have a lot of gaps in terms of the safety, the tolerability. What can a patient expect on this medicine? I don't know. A lot of times we just don't know until we really have some experience because, you know, if you read the prescribing information, there's page after page after page of things that have happened, but what does that mean for your individual patient in that moment? It's very difficult to translate the theoretical risks, especially from a systemic drug that has 10 pages of potential problems, cancer, blood clots, all of these things, but what does it mean for the patient in front of you? So we have to rely on some of these network meta-analyses, and some of the tools that I'm working on are these tools that can help us sit with the patient and in simple terms and in very short time, right? I wish we had hours to talk about this. We often have 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes if we're lucky, to really break this down and explain why we might be recommending something. I also think it's so important to have a written action plan for every single patient that I see. I write out a plan for them to explain what to do when they're flaring up, what to do when they're better to help maintain. I put the order of operations. I want them to know the order to put things on so they don't call me and say, which one do I put on first? Or does this one stay on? Or do I wash that off? I want everything perfectly there for them. And then something very important to me as well is very specific product recommendations, which we'll talk about as well. I really think that having a support group and having these kinds of resources available is critical. Now I'm going to turn it over to Julie.
Thank you. Thank you. It's an honor to be here with all of you. A little bit about the National Eczema Association. Our vision is a world without eczema. Our mission is to be the driving force for the eczema community that is fueled by knowledge, strengthened through collective action, and propelled by the promise of a better future. Our reach is over 7 million on our website, and our email list is at about 150. So the topic of this conversation was how we can support healthcare providers in their practice and how we can help them help their patients. So for healthcare professionals in the United States, we offer a few different resources. First, we have what we call our Eczema Provider Finder, and that's where dermatologists, allergists, pediatricians, nurse practitioners, anybody treating people with eczema can list their practice in our directory, talk about and list what treatments that they offer, what insurance they offer, what languages they speak, etc. We publish a quarterly magazine that we can send to your offices now that we're hopefully back to offices and you have waiting rooms full of people with atopic dermatitis. So that can be a helpful resource in your office. We have what we call the Pierre program, people engaged in eczema research, and for our clinicians and researchers that are conducting studies, we offer a program where they can recruit patients for the various initiatives that they're undergoing. We have, as Peter mentioned, Eczema Wise is an app. Unfortunately, it's only available in the United States as an app, but it is available worldwide on our website. We have an Eczema Expo, which is coming up in July in Seattle. Looking forward to having Dr. Lio with us again. And this is an extraordinary opportunity and often life-changing opportunity for patients and families to gather, to learn, to connect, to get support. It's an extraordinary event, and I invite you all to come to Seattle, Washington, July 8th through 10th. Another resource we have for healthcare providers for their patients is a Seal of Acceptance product directory. This is a seal awarded not only to several Pierre Fabre products, but others, so it can help your patients navigate the myriad of products on the shelf. They go to the drugstore, they're looking, and they just don't know what to get and what's going to work. There's many products that, hyperallergenic, natural, organic. What does all that mean? Also, we have a clinical trials directory. In order to make progress, we know we have to invest in clinical trials. So for patients who are interested in participating in a trial, we list those trials, their locations and availability, and give as much information as we can to encourage participation in clinical trials, as well as we have patient fact sheets that can be downloaded and distributed to your patients in your office or elsewhere. As Peter mentioned, we have this app, Eczema Wise. It helps patients come prepared so that you can focus your 10 or 15 minutes on solutions. You can understand what's happened for them if they haven't had an appointment for a year or 6 months. They can upload photos. They can really share with you what's been going on with their life, their sleep, their stress, their itch, their skin conditions, the environmental triggers, etc. Again, this is a very busy slide, but we launched this app in October 2020, and again, the purpose is to activate patients and caregivers in their eczema care, enhance shared decision-making between patients and healthcare providers, and lastly, it is a registry on the back end, which will provide a very rich source of patient-reported data that we'll be able to mine and really put a megaphone to the true lived experience of the eczema patient. And one thing we haven't mentioned yet today about eczema and atopic dermatitis in particular is the heterogeneous nature of this disease. What works for one may not work for another, doesn't work for another. Someone's triggered in the winter, someone's triggered in the summer. So we're going to have a little bit more data on that and hopefully get to that personalized medicine model we're all hoping for. And that's it from me. I thank you.